Whitey, carrying an oversized suitcase and panting, stopped against the wall and shouted angrily at the top of his lungs to slow the crowd turned around and exclaimed, "So is the White Emperor. It's our clan that's come back. He doesn't care about the safety of these people. Where is my Slow now?" The clan reacted instantly, slowing her down below. The White Emperor had finally returned, but when he picked up the little female, he realized that her body was so hot, it looked like she had a fever again. Her consciousness gradually blurred. She couldn't see the person in front of her at all. She couldn't open her eyes at all. "My mind is all over the place. Am I going to die? Maybe my eyes are opening to realize it was all a dream." Suddenly someone called to me softly, and that urgent voice was very familiar. That male appeared to himself. "Didn't you say you were coming back? Why didn't you come back? Who the hell is this guy?" It's like a mess in my head. 3 days later, inside the Rocky Mountain, it was already light outside. Her companion came in and in a panic inquired whether Whitey was in the. Sure enough, Whitey didn't leave at all. Slowly never woke up. "How's your baby?" She lifted the outer robe to reveal the little cubs. "Quite nice, just quite rowdy." She wasn't caring about her little baby. It had been 3 days. Why hadn't Slow woken up yet? One Slow and one Frosty Cloud. This Rocky Mountain is simply sad and foggy. The old witch doctor went to the other side, leaving behind only a sentence of tattered remains. Frosty Cloud has been very busy these past few days with tribal matters. He hadn't had much rest for 3 whole days, and he seemed afraid to stop for fear that if it did he would break down. He disposed of the remaining bodies of the tribe and performed the rituals for those of his own kind. Frost Cloud's eyes were no longer childish and contained many complex emotions within his look. At this point, she was still constantly feeling sad, and she didn't expect Frosty Cloud to come to the scene, only to see him looking at the crowd all tired and slowly waking up. Di picked up the bowl of medicine in his hand. She had been unconscious and had not woken up since her fever had gone down. She doesn't eat when she's in a coma, but we can't let her stay hungry, so the source leaf fruit should do the trick. Frost Cloud, on the other hand, was incredibly worried that she would stay asleep, just like Longchamp and Father. Apparently Whitey didn't agree with him that Slowly would definitely wake up. He took the woman's small hand and held it like a treasure in the palm of his hand. "Ease up and wake up. Longchamp Witch Doctor is dead. The rock wolves are suffering. I'm in pain. I wish you were awake to talk to you about my pain." Slowly, in her sleep, she suddenly heard, as if it were the voices of Frosty Cloud and White Emperor. They were waiting anxiously where they were, expecting the little female in the bed to awaken quickly. Unexpectedly, there was another voice, with which she expressed complete unfamiliarity. He suddenly transformed into his own body and charged at her, leaving her frouncing and unable to avoid it. Slowly, as if startled, he roused himself violently from sleep. The first thing he saw was Whitey, looking himself up and down with concerned eyes. He tried to hide the fear inside him and took the woman into his arms at the first opportunity, but Slow seems to have forgotten something. "Their home is completely out of mind." She furrowed her pretty eyebrows slightly. "I seem to have forgotten a lot of things." Cacti's eyes are shocked. "So do you remember me?" The little female feigned innocence and looked him up and down without haste. Then it came out violently. "You're my fool, Whitey, but you're really stupid. You're my mate. We have a contractual induction." He was secretly relieved, joking at a time like this. "I'm really scared to death." A good time of laughter is always interrupted by something, just like now. Frosty Cloud rushed in a hurry. "Slow down, you're really awake." He didn't care about the little female's injured body, or if she was very uncomfortable, only to see him excitedly picking up Slowly, his expression about to overflow with love. "If you don't wake up," Frosty Cloud stammers and dares not threaten, but the woman pouted. "What will you do if I don't wake up?" I didn't realize that the male was actually mouthing off, and excitedly lifted her up to indicate that he wanted to do the exercise. Sure enough, he was mercilessly thrown out by Whitey. After all, he was in first place. Everything seems to have returned to tranquility, and everyone is trying to forget the dead. The pain of losing a lover and staying strong in this world, they continue to live on for the dead. In their place, slowly looking at the tablecloth of seeds. When did he collect so many? I always feel like I'm forgetting something important in my memory. A voice suddenly rang out. "Slowly, when you find rescue, come back to me." Who the hell is this person that keeps circling around in one's mind? She couldn't control the slight tremor as a hand gradually reached for her. Slowly, Frowsy, his body scuffed and fell backwards. It turned out to be the White Emperor's big hand, gently soothing himself. "If you can't figure it out, don't think about it, or your brain will crack." The White Emperor, however, was impressed by this, and after a slow fever had passed, seemed to forget the owner of this jewel. "But that's good. The owner of this thing should be a trouble. It's better not to get involved." Slowly holding the warm little bowl, it was a good thing the pot hadn't been snatched away, or there wouldn't have been any good gravy. Although they don't know what it is, Frosty Cloud is going down the mountain tomorrow. He held his food bowl with a serious look on his face. The tribe didn't have enough food. The Rocky Mountains were ransacked for food. Now the tribe is a mess. It can't feed over 200 orcs. But now that the snow has closed the mountains, it's impossible to find that much prey. I didn't realize that Frosty Cloud wasn't going to hunt the prey, but to snatch back everything that belonged to him. The Blackwater tribe is too numerous for us to fight. He said not only for food, but also to seek revenge on them. These people must not be spared. Dr. Longchamp and everyone else did die for this. We can't let them die for no reason. Slowly, he suddenly remembered something and hastily pulled something out of his body. She held up the necklace and handed it over. The old witch doctor asked me to pass it on to you. Frosty Cloud burst into tears. This was Longju's wolf-tooth necklace. He gritted his teeth and scuffed to his feet, not caring about the little female who cared for him. Whitey said to tell her to relax, that it would be good for him to be alone now. Outside the cavern, the wind is howling, and the branches of the trees are thick with snow. He couldn't get the pain inside him to go away, but it was amazing that the little female had found herself. Slowly, his eyes are a little worried. Longju witch doctor definitely does not want you to be sad like this. He said to look at the clan again. We wolves were born here, and we will be buried here. All those dead mates will always be watching over us. Ease up. You want to hear a story? Me and the Longchamp witch doctor. They were sitting on a high rock, and Frost Cloud's memories were becoming clear. My father died a long time ago. The rest of my females only know how to enjoy themselves and completely ignore me. I'm on my own. When I was very young, I had to learn to hunt to feed myself and ended up getting bitten on the leg. When I was brought back, the female didn't care about me. She was still having fun. Without food, my wounds festered day by day, and I felt like I was going to die soon. But a figure appeared, like a father. The Longju witch doctor carefully held up his. He heard I was abandoned, so he traveled a long way to find me. He healed my wounds, gave me food, taught me how to hunt. Dr. Longchuck was like a teacher and a father to me. My life turned around because of him, and he would compliment me from time to time to boost my confidence. I wouldn't be where I am now without him. He's the most respected man in the world. I've thought about the future. Even if he's too old to walk, I'll still take care of him. I didn't think he'd die in the end. If I come back sooner, Longchamp and everyone else might not have died. Slowly, sadness welled up, and Frost Cloud felt really bad in his heart. But Witch Doctor Longchamp's greatest wish is that you take the Rock Wolves and live on. Frosty Cloud shed tears of grief. I never thought he would leave so quickly. Why couldn't he have slowed down a little? Why didn't he wait for me? Slowly, a joke came over him, and Frost Cloud actually cried in frustration. I'm sure Dr. Longchamp will be pleased that you're a good chief now. Ancestral spirits of the Rock Wolf clan, please bless us, the Rock clan, and keep us going through this difficult time. They quickly recovered as they were, and were not frustrated by these things. The Blackwater tribe outnumbers us 3-1, so it's hard to deal with, but they're not united, and with a little division, they can be made to kill each other. I didn't want to get involved in the Wolf clan's affairs, but the Blackwater tribe almost took Solely captive. They consisted of 14 tribes of different sizes, the most powerful being the Wolf and Wild Horse tribes, respectively. There's been constant friction between the two clans, and they're on a collision course. Slowly, on the other hand, was unable to spit. One eats meat and the other eats grass. It would be strange if the relationship would be good. A dozen or so wild best phones were stolen, and a vicious fight broke out between the two sides over it. If you can unite the Mustangs, you have a chance to defeat the Blackwater Wolves. That's a good idea. The question is how to get the Mustangs to agree to join forces. There are no eternal enemies in this world, only eternal interests. Whitey took out the crystal pendant and showed this to the Wild Horse clan's patriarch. Slowly, he looked at the pendant, but it felt unusually familiar. High-grade black crystals are only found in the upper-class beast cities. How did you get the precious crystals? He, on the other hand, acted blasé, and the pendant was brought in slowly. Why can't I remember? I seem to have forgotten some memories. But my instincts tell me that this black gemstone pendant is important, and I can't throw it away. Whitey stroked her hair at this point, and would return the pendant to you after use. You tell the chief of the Wild Horse clan that the Blackwater Wolves have taken the black crystal, and I'll believe that you know how to do it. Slowly expressed his lack of understanding. We didn't have any black crystals taken at all. That's the problem with the Blackwater Wolves. They snatched the black crystals. What's it got to do with us if we can't find them? Does Whitey belong to the White Cup Black? That's a great technique for throwing dirt. Frost Cloud waved his fist at this point, expressing his great approval of Whitey's plan. So at first light, Frost Cloud led them into the Mustang tribe. The perimeter of the tribe is heavily guarded. We have to do something. He walked up to the entrance of the Mustang tribe, and this horseman actually showed disdain for him. The next gem he pulled out really got the Mustangs a little excited. And then, as if they were plotting something, one with a grin on his face and the other with anticipation in his heart, the wildebeests fantasized about the wealth of their tribe, which would be untold amounts of gold and silver. Then the wildebeests were instantly impressed and high-fived Frost Cloud of the Rock tribe. He quickly went back to his tribe, a completely different land from the wildebeests. Frosty Cloud says he successfully teamed up with Wild Horse and slowed down thanks for the black crystals. She thinks it's her own and it's not. Confused and totally confused. Instead, he thoughtfully put it on for him, and since it was something important, it must not be lost again. Slowly lowering his head to touch the gem. How on earth did this pendant get to be so precious? At this time, a voice suddenly appeared. Congratulations to the host for triggering this special mission. Please collect 5 different colored crystals to receive a special reward upon completion of the mission. I can't believe this system is still in place. I almost forgot about it. Are crystals like that? Special rewards for special tasks sounds awesome, but isn't that hard to get? This crystal is a special stone that can draw energy from it to strengthen the beast's soul. She dropped her head in defeat. I want to get 5 different colors together. Wouldn't that be hard and difficult? Unreliable Frosty Cloud took out the bag. What do you want the crystals for? If you want this, take it. Slowly and hastily unwrapped. I did not expect it to be crystals. She wanted to consult the system. Were these considered one of the crystals? These colorless crystals are called crystals. Colored crystals are rare. When she used to go to the market with Bai Dai, he bought things with crystal coins. So the little female took out a crystal and said she wanted one and that was enough. But males give their property to females when they find a mate. Is it too little? When spring comes, I'll hunt more and exchange them all for crystals. Why don't you want it? Are you looking down on me? A hand was then thrown into her receptive hand, and she was viciously forced to put it away. I'm going to make a lot of crystals to impress my females. The wind is howling outside, but it's not snowing. Here's what I'm storing. Everyone take some. My cellar is huge and I have a lot of storage. The orc's eyes were grateful, slowly thanking you, not only for protecting my female, but also for sharing the food with us. There's still hope as long as we're all alive. Let's not let the dead down. The gloom from the clan's deaths is gradually lifting, and everyone's spirits are better. Her heart overflowed with emotion. But what were those down there? What's with all the kernels? I think I'll have to think about it. Turns out I dug it out of the sweet fruit when I was making jam before. It's quite a lot. Hundreds of them. At that moment, in front of her, a long-eared yellow-haired child actually appeared. This kid's brain. Is it the system he's bound to? Please don't waste your time with these irrelevant topics. This kind of cold face avatar is just like having no face at all. A seed drifted down with it, and slowly and immediately reached out to catch it. What kind of seed is this? It's got a hint of flavor. The system describes it as a divine wood seed, but it's not even in her catalog. The divine wood belongs to the divine plants, and the illustrated book the host now possesses only has records of low-grade plants and animals, which means that to find out what this is, I'll have to get my hands on a few other illustrations of flora and fauna. If you have all 7 books, can you summon the dragon? The little indifferent face finally had an expression. The divine dragon didn't belong to this realm and couldn't be summoned. Slowly snorted a laugh. A joke you even took it seriously. This seed can't be buried in the soil. It's just a force seed. It can only be eaten directly. She doesn't recognize the reward at all. I've gone to a lot of trouble to complete the task, and you're giving away a dead seed. The little cold-faced system was instantly silent and closed his eyes tightly without further explanation. Aren't all the systems in novels great? Why does mine look like a defective item? The system of being called a defective product is very, very angry. If you don't eat it, I'll take it back. Beads of sweat slowly appeared. Forget it. I can't beat you. I'll eat it. But before I could chew it myself, it went down my throat and disappeared. It seemed to have a spirit. Only then did the system explain that the divine wood is the source of all trees and can increase your affinity for nature. Immediately after that, it was quickly shut down. The host's authority is not enough, so I can only explain so much at the moment. This system, I don't know what that one doesn't say. It can't be intentional. It looks like these seeds will be ready to plant when the spring starts. This beast world is bare now, but with seeds and sunlight, there is hope. She had just thought of sunlight when the setting sun in the cave spread it. When the time comes, I'll start the orc world. Advanced farming mode. A few days later, in the morning, inside the cave where Slow resides, Frost Cloud led the male beasts down the mountain, their gazes all showing determination. After all, they're going to war and revenge. As long as there's a war, there's bound to be casualties. Whitey and the other orcs stayed behind to protect the females and cubs of the tribe. I hope Frosty Cloud isn't hurt and everyone comes back safely. But as soon as she went to sleep, she would think of Frosty Cloud who went out to fight and worry about him. In the dream, Frosty Cloud was in great pain and sprawled on the snow in silence. Fearing that something might have happened, she rushed quickly and eagerly over to them. Unexpectedly behind her, the evil orc appeared behind him and slowly swung his arm up. He seemed to be worried about Slow's well-being and did not dodge away from the attack behind him. Ease, who witnessed the whole thing, broke down in sigh and shouted, "Don't hurt Frosty Cloud." Only her eyes snapped open, but she couldn't calm her emotions. It's a horrible nightmare, but it's so real, Frostbite won't have an accident. When I was at Frost Cloud's hopeful union, if I had promised him then and had his child, even if something happens to him, we can still leave a little bloodline for him. At this time the White Emperor suddenly appeared, gently pushed open the door of the room. Slowly, what happened to you? She began to tremble all over. I dreamt that Frosty Cloud was killed. I was so scared. Whitey had to move forward to reassure that it was just a nightmare and that Frost Cloud would return safely. You won't leave me, will you? None of you will leave me, will you? He wrapped his arms around the sad female. Of course we will never leave you. For the first time, I understood that both Whitey and Frost Cloud were my family. They're the closest thing I have in the world. I can't live without them. This time I wouldn't hesitate. And then I took the initiative to kiss Whitey on the lips. In my last life, I lived alone, with no one to love or care for me. It's been hard to meet the people in my life who truly love me, if just the bonding alone could keep them from ever leaving. Then I said I was more than willing, so I offered to take Whitey by the shoulders, even though he has an anomaly. Now is not the time to. But I had to suppress the restlessness in his body, shaking her slightly to ease her awake. Slowly stated that I was awake and I knew what I was doing. You don't usually do this. Did the nightmare provoke you? The little female, having been gassed, dropped her head slightly to drop little teardrops. I don't want you to give me your first time on impulse. I'm afraid you'll regret it in the future. Slowly and hastily said that he had no regrets and that he had thought it through clearly enough. I can't do anything when you're in danger. I'm really useless. Whitey, on the other hand, says you can do whatever you want as long as you don't cry. She was sad and shedding tears, her voice breaking. So will you be with me? It seems she's so worried about losing Frosty Cloud and what was her life like in the past? Whitey sighed slightly, slowly insecure. Of course I'm willing to do that. You're my treasure. I don't want you any more than I have to. The woman looked up immediately at the words, with pathetic teardrops still hanging from the corners of her eyes. But Bai Dai suddenly came forward and kissed the corner of her soft lips again. Slowly a tear streaked across his face, and then he began to initiate a response. But he suddenly opened his eyes. He heard her last time. Be careful this time. So he pulled out the fruit and clenched it tightly in his big hand. Only the juices flowed out in a smooth stream, but it didn't take his eyes off the little female, slowly in a piece of charming species awake. So it is the source leaf fruit. He did everything in his hand, and quickly bent down and leaned over and lightly wrapped his arms around the woman. She was ready to take off the clothes on her body slowly by herself. There was not a ripple in her expression, as if what was about to happen had nothing to do with her at all. Bai Dai tried his best to hold back the agitation in his body, wanting to confirm things again this time. Only her expression was not dark, and the bean-sized teardrops filled her eyes. It turns out that Whitey is desperately enduring, and is really worthy of his trust. Slowly and immediately responded and comforted with a soft voice. I'm fine, Whitey. I have only one wish, and that is that the one I love never leave me. Whitey felt the woman's touch, and the agitation in his body visibly increased. After waiting for a response, the male, indicating that he was finally not holding back, eagerly kissed him. Their tongues continued to intertwine, full of love that had found an outlet. It's cold and windy outside again, but inside it's warm. Slowly and involuntarily, she wrapped her arms around him, and a coquettish voice kept coming out of her mouth. There was a blush on the White Emperor's face, and his eyes gazed at his treasures, but on his pectoral muscles, there was actually a strange glow. There's a glow on Whitey's body. Is it just me? But the only males that responded to her at the moment were a succession of male outbursts. At this time the light of day slowly did not get up. Once again, she marveled at Bai Dai's physical prowess. She herself was about to be exhausted. Only a hard rollover showed she didn't even have the strength to move. She is still in her big warm bed, but someone's in her room. It turned out to be his own mate, Whitey, so it's a good thing he wasn't letting outsiders see him. But it's so humiliating. I don't know how to face him at all. The fact that Bai T actually wanted to wipe herself down simply made her even more shy and uncomfortable. She sat her day up in a panic, not realizing how fragile her body was. I moved too much yesterday, and now I can't stand the pain in my back. Dai smiled gently. It's better for me to help you wipe. I won't do anything. The slow expression of refusal was unusually shameful. It was now the most lucid time of the day. This tiger is getting serious. Of course I'll do all the scrubbing and relaxing for you. Slowly and gradually accepting the offer, he stooped a little and began to wait for the White Emperor's palm was really big, generous and warm. Touching himself was really comfortable. The white tiger, on the other hand, looked at her shyly. Slowly, your skin is so soft and fair. The emergence of this topic has caused sudden alertness in back pain ladies, followed by a quick dodge to show that he was much better and fine. She dashed to the door and then poked her little head out. I'm going to look for Mokyung. Walking out the door slowly and secretly, feeling like I'm going to be eaten by a tiger at any moment. But Whitey is now truly my mate. This is real family, isn't it? Only Maka's face came close, sniffing around rapidly. She is sure and certain that you smell like Whitey. But Maka's voice was simply too loud, and she had to quickly block it out. Makayan said it's normal to be shy, but you look very moist. That tiger serves you well. Slowly sniffing even more shyly, her tiny face became incomparably red. As soon as she picked up her cute little cub, she said she didn't want to talk to the old driver. But when Frost Cloud comes back and finds out you were eaten first, he'll probably explode. Slowly sniffing was shocked. Frosty Cloud couldn't be that serious, but Frosty Cloud is so tongue-in-cheek and looks like it doesn't care. He's probably going to come back and chip a big hole in the wall. The males fought each other so much, they became family. Mu Xian suddenly recalled that the ones in my house were also previously. You must live a good life. Don't be like me. You only know how to cherish it after you've lost it. Ma Qian's mates, almost all of them died in the previous great battle. Ma Qian, you still have the babies. Your mate still has $9. He'll be there for you. The female grits her teeth and dares not shed a tear. After all, she is the powerful mother of the... At this time, a voice rang out violently. Slowly, Blue Butterfly seems to be giving birth. You should go and take a look quickly. Slowly, like an old mother, she moved to wherever she needed to. Blue Butterfly lay on the bed in pain, her mouth constantly chanting it hurt so much. Why do you have to call me when you're giving birth? I'm not an obstetrician. Why isn't the midwife here yet? It's a big deal. Go and boil some hot water. Blue Butterfly may need it later. Slowly and awkwardly, I stood still. I'm not an obstetrician. I've never even had a baby. Makayan reminded her at this point that Blue Butterfly trusts you very much, and she can only feel at ease if you're here. She said she'd go to the White Emperor and boil a pot of hot water and bring over a source of leafy fruits. Makayan wrapped her arms around her own child and turned hastily to indicate that she was now going to. At that moment, her small hand was grabbed, causing her to look back instantly. Slowly, you not only protected us, but you also saved the Moksha cubs. Surely you can protect us too. It seems that Blue Butterfly is now very weak, but also needs to be soothed in her heart. Blue Butterfly gets the woman's affirmation and weakly states that she believes her. That's when Makayan arrived on the scene with his men to help deliver the baby. Whitey was indeed a reliable male, rushing over with hot water in his hand, but the cubs are a bit big, so it's difficult to give birth to them, and the source leaf fruit can increase your stamina. On the other side of the Blue Butterfly's husbands are in a happy and worried moment. Blue Butterfly, who was about to turn into a mother, then clenched her teeth fiercely and pressed hard. The midwife suddenly exclaimed, "It's born! It's born! It's born! It's born!" These little babies are simply adorable, each sleeping nicely on their side. Moksha hurriedly ran to check, not realizing that there was another female. Blue Butterfly's husbands and the crowd outside the door exclaimed, "What great news!" As a mother, Blue Butterfly was the first to let his hug her baby. She picked up the cub obediently, and the coyote was actually affectionate towards herself, but they're really small and soft, like a little ball of dough. Life is really amazing. Will I get pregnant and give birth to a child too? In this world, to give birth to my child with Whitey